The senator's voice was like ice water, cold and shocking, splashing over the warm buzz of the charity gala. Check her bag. People like her don't just wander into places like this without a reason. He stood before me, a monument of tailored silk and generational wealth, his face a mask of polite disgust. I was just Chloe, a 24-year-old law student in a black caterer's uniform, holding an empty tray. But to Senator Davenport, I was an infestation. His wife, a woman draped in diamonds that could have paid off my entire student debt, nodded frantically. My earring. My great-grandmother's sapphire earring. It's gone. She was right there when I felt it slip. The lie was so perfect, so effortless. It was almost beautiful. Every eye in the grand ballroom of the St. Regis turned to me. 200 of Washington, D.C.'s most powerful figures, their faces a mixture of pity and suspicion. Security moved in, 2 stone-faced men in crisp suits. I felt the heat of a dozen smartphones turning my way, their lenses hungry for drama. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of my life falling apart. They thought I was a thief, a nobody who had gotten too close to their glittering world. They had no idea who I was, what I had overheard just 10 minutes ago, or the one phone call that could bring their entire corrupt world crashing down. They were about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one everyone makes a point of ignoring. It had all started with a whisper, 30 minutes earlier, behind a potted ficus near the veranda. I was replacing champagne flutes, moving with the practiced invisibility of service staff. That's when I saw Senator Davenport with 2 lobbyists. I knew their faces from my policy classes at Georgetown Law. The Phoenix Initiative is a go, the senator murmured, his voice low and laced with the scent of expensive bourbon. The zoning commission has been persuaded. We'll break ground in the 4th Ward next month. The 4th Ward, my neighborhood, a vibrant working-class black community that developers had been trying to dismantle for years. And the environmental impact reports? One lobbyist asked. Davenport laughed, a sound like gravel grinding. Buried. The Attorney General's office is sniffing around, but they have no concrete evidence. By the time they figure out the land subsidies are being funneled through shell corporations, we'll have built luxury condos over 3 city blocks. My blood ran cold. I have an eidetic memory. It's a gift, a curse, a secret I never share. But in that moment, every word, every name of the shell corporations, Apex Holdings, East River Development, was burned into my mind. I saw the architectural plans they briefly unrolled. I saw the park where I played as a child being replaced by a parking garage. That's when Mrs. Davenport had approached, her hand to her ear in theatrical panic. "Darling, my earring!" Now, standing in the center of the ballroom, accused and surrounded, I saw the trap for what it was. It wasn't about a lost piece of jewelry. It was about silencing the witness they didn't even know they had. "Ma'am, we need to see what's in your bag," the first security guard said, his voice flat and impersonal. My bag contained a worn copy of a constitutional law textbook, half a granola bar, and a picture of my godfather, a man I called Uncle James. "This is a misunderstanding," I said, my voice shaking but clear. "Oh, I'm sure it is," Senator Davenport sneered, playing to his audience. "Let's just clear this up, and then you can get back to whatever it is you do." The humiliation was a physical force, pressing down on me. I thought about my tuition payments, the catering job I desperately needed. I could let them search my bag, find nothing, and endure the lingering suspicion. I could stay invisible. But then I thought about the families in the 4th Ward, my neighbors, my friends. I thought about the park, the barber shop, the church, all to be bulldozed for luxury condos built on a foundation of lies. I took a deep breath. "The only thing I'm guilty of, Senator, is having a good memory." A confused silence fell over the room. Davenport's smile tightened. "What are you talking about?" "I remember things," I said, looking him directly in the eye. "For example, I remember the conversation you had 10 minutes ago, the one about the Phoenix Initiative, the one where you mentioned Apex Holdings and East River Development." The senator's face went white. The change was so sudden, so stark, it was as if a mask had fallen away. The lobbyists he'd been speaking with began to back away slowly into the crowd. "This is absurd," he stammered. "This girl is delusional. She's trying to deflect." "You said," and I quote, "by the time they figure out the land subsidies are being funneled through shell corporations, we'll have built luxury condos over 3 city blocks." Was that the correct quote, Senator? The ballroom was dead silent. The phones were still recording, but the narrative had changed. This was no longer about a petty theft. It was something much bigger. "Arrest her," Davenport commanded the security guards, his voice a raw bark of panic. "She's trespassing. She's a threat." The guards hesitated, looking from the powerful senator to the calm young woman in a caterer's uniform. "I think," I said, pulling out my phone, "that I need to make one phone call first." Davenport laughed, a shaky, desperate sound. "Who are you going to call? Your public defender?" I scrolled to a single contact in my phone and pressed the call button, putting it on speaker. It rang once. "Chloe, is everything all right? You're not supposed to call me during work." The voice was warm, familiar, and filled with an authority that resonated through the silent ballroom. It was the voice of my godfather, my Uncle James. Senator Davenport froze. He recognized that voice. Every single person in that room recognized that voice. "I'm okay, Uncle James," I said. "But I think you'll want to hear this. I'm at the St. Regis Gala. So is Senator Davenport, and he just told his friends all about the Phoenix Initiative." There was a pause on the other end of the line. The silence stretched, heavy with implication. Then the voice came back, no longer warm, but cold as a jail cell in winter. "Senator Davenport," my godfather said, his voice now carrying the unmistakable weight of his office. "This is Attorney General James Wallace. I've been investigating the Phoenix Initiative for 6 months. You just gave my star witness the motive and the platform to provide her testimony. Federal agents are 5 minutes out. I suggest you wait for them." The phone in my hand felt like a gavel. The sound of a champagne flute shattering was the only noise in the room. Senator Davenport looked at me, his face a canvas of pure, unadulterated horror. He hadn't just been outmaneuvered. He had been annihilated. The invisible girl in the caterer's uniform had just dismantled his entire world. The aftermath was a blur of flashing lights and hushed, frantic whispers. Federal agents, moving with a quiet efficiency that was terrifying, secured the ballroom. Senator Davenport, the man who commanded committees and shaped legislation, was quietly escorted out a side entrance, his face ashen, his legacy in flames. The story exploded. My face was on every news channel. The caterer who toppled a conspiracy. My eidetic memory became the subject of primetime specials. The Fourth Ward was saved. The Phoenix Initiative was dismantled, and the ensuing investigation uncovered a web of corruption that reached the highest levels of city government. I finished my last semester at Georgetown on a full scholarship that mysteriously appeared, funded by an anonymous civil justice foundation. The day I graduated, a job offer was waiting for me from the Department of Justice, signed by the Attorney General himself. Sometimes I think back to that night, to the weight of 200 pairs of eyes expecting me to be a stereotype, a thief, a nobody. They saw a uniform, not a person. They saw my race, not my mind. They made an assumption, and that assumption was their undoing. That night taught me that power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet girl in the corner who's been listening all along. True strength isn't about the suit you wear or the title you hold. It's about having the courage to speak the truth, even when your voice shakes. What would you have done in my position? Would you have stayed silent to protect yourself, or would you have risked it all to protect others? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please like and share. For more cinematic life stories told with depth and heart, subscribe to Voice of Sophia and ring the bell for notifications. Thank you for listening, for feeling, and for being part of this community. See you in the next story.